Welcome to New England Lacrosse Journal's Chasing the Goal podcast, your destination for all things lacrosse. I'm your host, Kyle Devitte. No, we're not in the studio. We're here. I had a sick kid to tend to. He's doing fine. I can hear him kicking a soccer ball upstairs. But also that meant Owen Hart didn't have to go in, and he is here also remote. Owen, say hi.
How's it going? I mean, I like going to the studio, I like seeing you in person, but I don't like driving to and from Milton on a Friday afternoon. That's not fun. So I'm happy we avoided that traffic.
Yeah, I think we call that serendipity in the biz, maybe. If there was a biz. This is lacrosse media, so there is no biz. There's only like 10 of us. Let's bring in our guest from my esteemed alma mater, the new Clark University men's lacrosse coach, Matt Colombini. Coach, how we doing?
Great. I really appreciate you having me on and excited to talk about Clark and lacrosse and all that good stuff.
Oh, actually, hold on. Wait. Yeah.
Nice.
Now we're ready.
I don't even have one of those.
Now we're ready.
I was like, usually Kyle wears a hat for the podcast.
Yeah.
So now he doesn't have the on. So big stick guy over here.
Yeah, we're loading it up for the video people to check this out on YouTube. So make sure you get that. Coach, you were at Emerson for a very long time, a place where, ironically, I also coached for a little bit. Emerson's very different, I think, compared to a lot of schools that it gets compared to because of the majors and the differences. People are just like, oh, another liberal arts school. It's like, not really. You need to do like audition tapes and you have to send in different materials to get in there. What was your time there like? Because you were there for so long as a head coach. Before Clark.
Yeah, it was 9 years. It was awesome, being in downtown Boston, having something unique to recruit to. We had a certain type of player and student that we were looking for. Guys who were interested in film, guys who wanted to get into sports media. We knew what we wanted, what we were looking for. And with that, conversely, there were times we'd have conversations. Someone would say, I want to do business or I want to do something in the sciences. And you need to look anywhere else. This isn't the place for you. But it was a great experience of being able to build the program there. We had awesome players, really good assistants, and we got it from a place where they hadn't won a game in a couple of years, had never won a conference game. The roster was incredibly small, and we just found the right people there to get it to where we made the NEWMAC playoffs, which is not an easy thing to do, and had some success and really some really good players over the course of those years.
Yeah, I remember coaching there and going down under Boylston Street for the first time and being like, wait, why is there an entire facility with offices and a gym down here? Wait, do people know this is here? And the answer is no. No one knows that's there unless you go to Emerson, which is crazy. So if you're walking along Boylston Street as it borders Boston Common, the park, right? Underneath that entire street is Emerson Athletics. And Emerson, like one of the dining halls is there. It's so crazy. And I know we're going to talk about Clark. Trust me. Can't wait to talk about Clark. But I just think when I talk to people from Emerson, it's like an experience that is not replicated easily, especially coaching there and the type of kids you get there. Like players that I coached have Emmys, Grammys, Oscars. They're camera operators. They own audio, like tuning facilities. One of them owns a special effects studio. One of them has a Grammy from like Lord of the Rings. It's insane. Like all the people that I know that coach there now are like, none of them live here. They all live in Hollywood. They all have different lives. So I always thought that was interesting. Like they'd be like, hey coach, what are you doing? I'm like, coaching. What are you doing? Oh, I just had dinner with like Ryan Reynolds. He's a good guy. I'm like, we are not the same anymore. This is awesome. Have you had anything kind of happen like that in your time in Emerson?
We actually, this happened this summer. We have a former player. He did all 6 years, stayed for graduate school. Juwan Kim, he followed us around a couple of years ago and made a documentary on the program, which was really interesting. But Juwan had worked for NFL Films, and then he now works for the PLL doing media and content stuff for them. And this summer when they were up in Boston, my sister took my nephew and some of his friends to the game. And she's like, oh, we saw Juwan. He's just on the field filming and whatever. And probably 20 minutes after she sent me that text, he sent me a video from the field of my nephew and his friends talking to whatever player and like getting autographs. Like, all right, your job's cooler than my job. And when he was at NFL Films, he was working on that Giants off-season Hard Knocks thing, and he's trying to feed me all the inside information he could, so I could figure out who they're going to pick, if they like Daniel Jones, all that stuff. So he's one example, but there's a bunch of those guys that have done really cool things in pro sports in particular.
We've talked about the similarities between you and Kyle, both Clark, Emerson, but he's grew up out in the sticks, New Hampshire. I don't know if that's where the similarities end. Where's your background out growing up playing youth at high school lacrosse? Where are you from? Where'd you play?
Yeah. So I grew up in Westchester County in New York. So I played Section 1 lacrosse growing up at Hendrick Hudson. We were pretty good. Not the best, not the worst, somewhere in between, but I was a goalie there. After high school, I ended up at Emerson College outside of Philly, playing goalie down there. And one of the big reasons I went to Emerson at the time was the coach who recruited me, Joe Karpinski and Glenn Carter. They were talking about, we want to get into Section 1, we want to get into New York. We had a bunch of Long Island guys. So that was like the big selling point, that we're going to have all these New York guys down outside of Philly and go to school and play and stuff. And my freshman year, Coach Steele came in, who's a Philly guy. And all of a sudden we recruited just South Jersey, Philly, a little bit into Baltimore. It was like a 2-hour radius. So all of a sudden I was the farthest, I think I lived the most northern of anybody on the roster by the end of my time there. But it was a great experience going down, and I've been kind of in New England ever since. So once I left Ursinus and came up to Wheaton to be an assistant, I haven't left.
Oh, the dreaded Wheaton. See, that now this is great because now you can hate Wheaton.
I already did.
People hate Wheaton. We had the Wheaton coach on, and I was like sitting in the chair like this, like hands. And I was like, yeah, like we have such bad memories of playing. And most of them were because we lost. Yeah. But like we lost in like a way that was like, oh, that's our fault. But also that team's so much better than us, and they know it. So that was tough. That must be interesting to go there, because it's one of the schools that rivals Clark for recruits, especially and in the area. And it's not really in a city per se. So that would be the main difference. But how do you see your experience there translating to now coaching at Clark?
Yeah, I think, and this is a big part of me wanting to work here and taking the job, like Ursinus, Wheaton, Colby, where I went, the two places I worked before Emerson, all really similar to Clark. Traditional campuses, wide array of majors, all slightly different sizes, known for different things, but really similar, welcoming communities. So I think a lot of what we did at Wheaton in terms of being able to recruit locally, and then try to expand and get farther down 95 toward Philadelphia or into the DC Baltimore area. And then we tried to go out of region. That was one way when we were losing recruits to Clark. We said, all right, we can't necessarily recruit in the same places as them. Let's go to Colorado or California or Texas. And we got some really good guys doing that. So, I think the schools are so comparable academically in a lot of ways that you are going to, any guidance counselor, when you say, I want to maybe play Division III sports, I want to be in a certain area, Clark and Wheaton are always going to be on the same list. Babson's going to be on that list, Connecticut College, Endicott, Roger Williams, you go on and on and on, the Skidmore Union, whatever it is, but you're always going to cross over. But ultimately, I think that experience being similar to where I went has helped me. It helped me get a good head start in coaching, and it also helped, obviously, getting here and hitting the ground running.
You mentioned you played goalie. I like having goalies on the podcast because, as me and Kyle have said, you guys are interesting characters, and we have perspective that we just will never understand. And Kyle and I talked about, like, we get our goalies off the street. They were a different athlete 2 weeks ago, and we get them up and play goalie. But you also see a lot of sports specialization at a young age, whereas kids are doing like goalie camps, face-off camps at like first, second grade. Do you find that's good? Do you think they should kind of like wait till they're a little bit older to start specializing in a certain position? Like my goalie was an attackman his freshman year, then switched to playing goalie, and he's been great. But then do you feel like that's a problem for burnout if they start so young, then they get to 8th grade and they already don't want to do it anymore? What's your perspective on sports specialization at a young age?
In general, I don't like the specialization younger, whether it's in a sport or in a position, kind of across the board. And that, like, growing up, my dad coached football, basketball, softball, lacrosse. So I was just around different things. I played Little League baseball. We we played everything and we just learned how to kind of be athletes, I think, which was great. I do think there's some benefit of, if you know you want to be a goalie, to starting and getting used to that and learning from that, because it is a little unique. But having the experience of playing with a short stick is really important in just handling the ball and, again, being well-rounded. Where I really don't like it in lacrosse in particular is when guys want to be face-off guys as 5th or 6th graders. There's nothing wrong with that, and you could take a bunch of face-offs. You should go to the face-off factory stuff, or whatever it is, and get as many reps as you can. But you also need to learn how to handle the ball and play, and especially with how the rules change constantly. If you're 11 years old and you're trying to perfect how face-offs are happening now, they might not even exist by the time you get to high school or college, right? So that's one that on lacrosse specifically that I think about all the time. In terms of goalies, at some point you just know you want to be in there, and you got to get better at it. So you stop getting hit as much and make more clean saves and all that.
I think what's interesting there is, like, I'm coaching youth right now a little bit in the town that I live in, and we have kids that are like, "Oh, I want to be a face-off guy," and I'm like, "You're left-handed," and they just go, "So," and I was like, "You can't be a face-off guy," and they're like, "I'm 8," and I'm like, "I don't care. You can't be a face-off guy. Like, I'm sorry." He has like a whole stick, and I'm like, "No, you need to return that. You can't. I mean, you can try at Emerson." I know this because at Emerson, I coached a lefty who was our face-off guy. And no matter what I did, taped his hands to his stick, whatever, he always switched his hand to pick the ball up. And I literally one day was just like, "You can't be the face-off guy anymore. You're a D-mid now." And he's like, "Why? I'm winning." I'm like, "No, you're winning the ball and no one's getting it because you're busy switching hands. Like, we can't do it." So that's why it's burned into my
hurt
brain.
hearing that.
And I can't let this happen.
You said that, and I'm like, I got shivers through my spine when you said he switched hands. The ball.
Oh,
It
dude.
is.
Yeah.
It can be an advantage though if you could secure the ball right-handed, because now if you're going out the front, you could hit that lefty alley and you get some clean transition. But yeah, I have an 11-year-old nephew who's going to listen to this, and he's going to be mad that I talked about the face-off specialization already, and he's left-handed. So you just double down on it. So maybe he'll start to believe me now that other people are saying it.
I think the real disconnect came too because that's when you could do moto grip. So even when I taped his hands to his stick, he was like this. It's like a Bodor trying to pick up the ball. So that didn't work out. He now owns a medicinal marijuana company. Ironically enough, in Colorado. Good for him. Shout out Roger. Feel you.
Nice.
Interesting. So going into Clark, obviously the guy who was there before you and I are very close. Jeff was there. Jeff Cohen was there for 16 years. I've said it on the podcast many times. He was my captain. I was the captain after him. We played there. We lived there. We went to school there. We knew what it was like, more so than I think probably any other person that's stuck with the program as long. And I think one of the things that happened throughout was this continued like investment in the athletics. And then it was more like everybody got the same, it became more egalitarian and equal. So they spread it out a little more utilitarian, and they spread it out a little bit more. And I know that Jeff, I remember after Alumni game, Jeff was just like, I just need to get kids that are tough in here. I need tougher kids. Like, and I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "I need football kids, man. I need football kids." Like, he's like shaking his head and walking. And I think that speaks to like the physicality, because when you play at Clark now, you play against Springfield, you play against a much improved MIT team. You play against Emerson, you play against Wheaton, you play against, now you play against Coast Guard, like all these other schools that are in their own way very specialist. Like the NUMAC is such a strange conference with all the schools. The schools, there's a couple that are like the Spider-Man meme, where they're like, "No, you're me," like Wheaton and Clark. And then there's ones that are like, "I don't understand what Emerson has in common with Springfield."
Yeah.
Or Coast Guard. Like, it doesn't make any, you're not getting the same kids. But there is this kind of trickle down through effect of the recruiting process. I know you haven't been there long. I'm sure you've met with the team. What has the reception been like on campus and in the athletic department?
Yeah, it's been a great start. We're I think 7 days into fall practice now. The nice thing coming from Emerson to here is Jeff and I are really good friends. We have a ton of mutual respect going both ways and how the programs have run. And he was probably the first guy in the NUMAC who was like, "You're doing a good job. You guys are going to get good. I'm worried about Emerson in the future." So he bought in early. Hunter Gervais was here as a graduate assistant. He played for me at Emerson, so there was that crossover. So there's a lot of similar drills and terms that he brought with him. And we played really good games for the most part over the years with Clark and Emerson that I think the players here respected everything we were doing over there and vice versa, that it was an important game and we were ready to play. We knew both teams were going to be ready to play. So I think that's helped a ton that they had some exposure to me and what my teams were like, and they kind of knew what to expect getting started here. And then overall, just within the department, everyone's been so welcoming, and it just fresh ideas and a fresh perspective to try to elevate the program even more and take all the great work Jeff did and push it to the next level, really.
This is only your first few times switching programs. Like when you get in there, and we always hate that buzzword culture there, let's throw around, everybody has a culture, but what would you say is the buzzword culture of your team that you like to bring in when you come into the new building, you see all your new guys, and what's that process like when you're coming in, you're seeing 40, 50 guys? Like how long does that take to really get acclimated at a new school that you really aren't familiar with?
Mm-hmm. I think it could take a different amount of time depending on where you're coming from, what the group's like. One of the nice things here in certain ways, so many guys graduated last year. I think it was 15, 16, 17 seniors and graduate students combined who left, that it's just like a kind of fresh roster. And there's some new, the seniors are last year, they were juniors, but they kind of were sophomores with how the hierarchy went and everything. So now they're able to use their voice more and take on more leadership roles. Everyone just has a little bit more opportunity and a clean slate. The biggest things for me that I've tried to bring from Emerson, and I've talked to the guys about already, are everything we do. I want to be within the 4 core values of being tough, being prepared, being competitive, and being team first. So every standard we set, everything we talk about, how we practice, it's all through the lens of those four values. And then within that, something we did a ton at Emerson, really started over COVID, when we didn't know when we were going to practice again, when we're going to play again. We started using the saying, "It doesn't matter, get better." And that could be, hey, you won 3 games in a row, find a way to get better. You lost, so be it. It snowed, we're stuck inside, or at Emerson, there is no inside. We're going to take the day off. We got to find a way to get better. COVID, your games get canceled. At some point, we're going to play. That was kind of the message we kept going back to. Like, we're going to play. Let's make sure when we play, we're as good as we can be and as ready as we can be. So maybe you win, maybe you lose, but you could leave knowing we were fully prepared. We did the best we could. And you could live with that, at least, even if you're disappointed in the result.
How often are you going to use 5th year free in your recruiting pitch?
I'm surprised we got this long into the podcast without talking about it. It's the biggest differentiator between Clark and the peer schools that we recruit against. Clark's already a tremendous value for the 4-year degree. It's expensive. All these schools are expensive. So everywhere that you could find financial aid help, merit scholarship help is important. And Clark does a great job with that. But to be able to talk to families and talk to players about, especially the really high academic players who we want to recruit, you're going to qualify for the 5th year free here because you're a really smart person who cares about school and is invested in it. And now you're paying for 4, you're going for 5. I just heard from one of the deans in the business program last week that on average, the students who get their MBA here and do the 4+1, their starting salary is $15,000 higher than the business students who just graduate in 4 and go out to work because they have the extra internship experience. They've already taken care of the schoolwork. And going back to school at 30, 35 isn't the most exciting thing in the world. If you could just knock it out when you're in the rhythm of it at 23 and then you have it forever, especially with no cost, that's a pretty good deal.
Can I tell you the caveat to 5th year free, that the reason I didn't do it?
Why didn't you do it?
I transferred in. Does not apply to transfers. Transfers do get half off. That was still too much. I did not go.
I think there's some flexibility with that nowadays.
Are you telling me I'm eligible right now?
I think you've already left. If you could play, we'd take it.
Yeah, suit up.
I mean, I think Listen, my eligibility ran out because I played in one game at St. Mike's, and in the fall, back when that counted, and I only played 3 years at Clark. I was there for 4, or no, I was there for 3.5, but I only played 3 because St. Mike's stole my eligibility. I'm not mad at all. So let's talk about moving forward with the team and doing the recruiting. We're hitting kind of the fall session here. A bunch of tournaments. You got the 3-day showcase coming up. You got all these the primetime tournaments. What are you looking for? I assume you're still taking 26s.
Yes.
What are you targeting when you're going to things like that? And and I'm sure you'll do IMLCA as well. What are you looking for out of your Clark recruit?
Yeah, I want guys who play hard, who are skilled and athletic. Those are really the big things. We want guys who are tough. That's when we're watching as we start having conversations and we're doing visits and we're meeting with people. It's really trying to figure out, if you don't play a minute here, are you going to help us get better? Are you adding to what we're doing with the culture? Are you going to embody the core values? And are you somebody who's signing up for what the experience is going to be like? I can be demanding at times. I'm pretty particular about how certain things go and how we run things and how we act and all that sort of stuff. And I want guys who want to do that, who think that's the right way to play and want to play at the pace and tempo that we play at and are going to be bought in. Because ultimately, you're better off having a bunch of guys who are bought in and are going to work hard, who you could coach and help improve, and they're going to be in the weight room and all that stuff, than you are having the best player who maybe had questionable grades and he's going to be a headache the first time you meet him, but he's really good. Like those, you don't need that here. I think you could find
kids don't last there either.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
It's either they're not going to last at the school or they're not going to last with the program, because if you're asking them to, hey, we lift 3 or 4 days a week, and they never want to touch a weight, they're just not going to be good enough player. And they're not going to have the experience they want, and that you just don't need it ultimately. So we're trying to find the right guys. Obviously, you have to be skilled. You have to be able to compete in the NUMAC. Everybody's big, strong, and athletic. So we need to find guys who could hang with those teams.
Adding on to the recruiting talk, like one of the adages in drafting and pro sports is the dilemma between best available and fit for your team and your roster. Do you ever have that issue yourself where it's like, this kid's one of our top recruits is in LSM, but I've got 2 returning starters that were really good, and I'm not sure he's going to see the field, but he wants us and he's the best talent of our recruiting board, versus just getting kids that fit the holes that were left versus graduation or transfers? Have you ever run into that, and how do you kind of handle that issue?
We always want the best guys. I'd rather have 35 awesome LSMs and have to figure it out. Maybe want to have a goalie like mixed in with that group, but once you get somebody to college, you never know what is going to be the right fit for them. I always think we had a year at Wheaton where we brought in a couple defensemen, and we were positive this guy's a close defenseman, this guy's an LSM, and you were watching practice and you're like, no, it's the exact opposite. They were both 4-year starters at the opposite position that we thought they were going to be at. Especially midfielders and lefties. Some guys have to play attack because they're the only lefty on their high school roster. Some guys play midfield because their high school roster has 5 Division I attackmen on it. Like Aiden Canary at Emerson is going to, we'll see what happens with his senior year. I'm guessing he's going to be a 4-year starting left-handed attackman. He played midfield at Staples because their attack was awesome. And he showed up, and I thought he was going to be a midi. And 2 days into fall, I'm like, yeah, you're the best lefty. Like you're really good. This fits perfect. And that happens with guys all the time. Some guys you think are going to be offensive middies, they become 2-ways, they become D middies. You just want good players, and then it's my job to put the pieces together.
As much as I would love to relitigate our constant LSM debate, I have a hot take on LSMs. I don't want to bring it up again because people get so mad. That I don't think LSMs can play. LSMs, most of them are either offensive or defensive, and most of the time they're LSMs because they can't play close. That's my hot take. I know people will hate that. In my experience, I've seen it more times than not to bring that up. But I think one of the things you talk about there that's interesting is constructing a roster with the best available player moving them around. I mean, kind of what Clark was.
Mhm.
Like even back in the day, like I came in, I was a defenseman. I played defense in LSM my first year. And then my coach saw me after practice shooting and he's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Shooting?" He's like, "I didn't know you could shoot." I'm like, "Yeah, I played box." He's like, "What?" Because our attack was really bad. So
Yeah.
he's like, "Oh, you're our new attackman." And I was like, and I had to learn an entirely new position just because
Mhm.
of that. Like Jeff, just talking about Jeff as a player was one of the best all around players ever at the school. Like
Mhm.
face-offs, ground balls, defense, offense, scoring, passing, and he like played everywhere.
Yeah.
Like there's that culture in D3. I feel this is an talk about hot takes. Here's another hot take. That's coming
Bring it.
back. There
100%.
are so many kids that are so skilled and athletic and powerful that they can play 4 different spots on the field. And obviously the positionless lacrosse is coming back. And, I think you alluded to it earlier. You want to play a little fast, maybe not super fast, but a little
No,
faster than maybe.
super fast.
Oh, you want to play super
Yeah.
fast?
We're
Super
I
fast.
love it. I
Yeah.
can now I'm on board. You got
Uh,
me. You hooked my alumni-ness. Yeah, you
we
just got me on board.
Yeah, like at Emerson, we were doing a lot of the same thing of we didn't have and guys are still getting used to it here. I don't think they're offensive midfielders and defensive midfielders. Offensive midfielders to me are attackmen. Some of those attackmen run out of the box. So if we say, "Hey, attackman, you're going to go shoot down there," there's like 3 guys who probably will never play down low who look at me and go, "Well, where do I go?" Just go with the attackman. And we at Emerson, we had all 2-way middies. The face-off guys played some D midi, but otherwise we wanted, and of those 2 ways, yeah, during the course of a game, course of a season, do they skew a little bit more one way or the other? Sure. But I think you want to have your best guys on the field, your best guys who can impact the game on both sides as much as you can. And if you have your best offensive players playing defense, probably gonna be pretty good in transition, right? And I think like Brett Newman here is a great example of that. He's played D midi the past 3 years. He's big, strong, athletic, shoots hard with both hands, can run by anybody. He could be a first line midfielder probably anywhere in the conference right now. And now I'm going to ask him, just you have to run up and down and play both ways. And I think he thinks it's exciting. It's fun. You get to do everything and you're involved in it. But with the shot clock, with the pace of games, I think you need guys who could do as much as possible.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely, I'm sure you have too, Tyler, where you start to the position like you're a kid, like wherever I put him on the field, he's going to be the best player. So how do I maximize them? And it's just
Mhm.
never an easy decision for any coach to make. It's always difficult. You never really know how to. And then also at high school, everything like what position is he going to play in college? Like, am I taking away possible recruiting spots for him? You see, I don't know if you've ever seen that where you have looked at the kid recruiting wise and he played LSM in midfield in the same game, because we've had that happen at where I coach, and it's always a
Mhm.
fun little battle. Getting back into goalie talk, because I just love having goalies on. When did it kind of bite you that you kind of stuck in the cage, and why? Because I just can't understand getting a hard ball shot at me 100 miles an hour, and that's what I want to do for, I don't know, 30 hours a week. Just like, when did that kind of click for you? What's the light bulb that switches off, and how? I need somebody to explain this to me. Is it the adrenaline? Like, what is it?
Honest, I think it was kind of circumstance. Like so my dad was a high school guidance counselor. He coached all these sports, and he had access to the equipment room. So we had where he worked didn't have a lacrosse program for a period of years, but we had an old goalie stick from there that was in our garage. So like as a kid, we'd have it to fool around with. And there was a chest protector in there. So at some point that came home. And when I was in 5th grade playing town lacrosse, I did it like a little bit just to rotate in. There was another kid who was playing goalie and I was playing attack and just like playing general lacrosse. Right. And, the other goalie, he got hurt. Something happened, not lacrosse, right? But he ends up getting hurt and he's going to miss games or tournament, whatever it is. So they're like, all right, will you play? And I did it and I was pretty good at it. And we had the stuff, which made it easier. And once I was good at it, then I just kept doing it and kept getting opportunities. And then it just kind of was my position. It just sort of happened naturally, but honestly, probably having a chest protector in the garage, made it easier. And I wore that same chest protector from 5th grade till I graduated college. It got a little smaller. It probably wasn't the safest thing towards the end
Unsafe.
there, But it was it was from a high school equipment office. It wasn't youth size at the beginning, but I tried to change it up once. It just felt uncomfortable, and I went back to old reliable.
I was looking through the schedule from last year for Clark, and they did travel to Austin for spring break. But the majority of their opponents are fairly like nearby. Are you going to bring anybody else in, you think, because you have some flexibility here with who you can bring in the first part of the season before New Mac starts?
We got, I think, pretty lucky in terms of their schedule was pretty much empty when I got here in July. So it was just sort of reaching out to people as quickly as we could and seeing who was available. A lot of teams, thankfully, were scheduling a little later, trying to figure out the new MPI stuff and how that works and take advantage of it. So we were able to, we're ahead to Endicott this year in March. We're going to go down to Vassar over our spring break. We're going to play Western Connecticut. So a couple tournament teams there. We're going up to Colby, which will be fun. I haven't been back up there. I've been up once since I worked there, and Hunter's there now as an assistant. So it'll be fun to coach against him again. And then we had to turn down a couple really, really good schools that the dates just didn't work out. But I want to play the best teams we could play and within reason travel wise. But we tried to do that at Emerson, that we asked everybody, and most of the time they said no. But if they say yes, he said, I don't care when it is, we'll go play. We went up to Bowdoin on a Tuesday. We had played, I think, Babson on Saturday, and we had MIT the next Saturday, and we just drove up midweek, and they are coming off the bye week. But if Billy Mason says, yeah, you can come, we'll play you. You go, okay, we'll just show up. It doesn't matter what time. That's kind of the mentality. That's what we're going to try to do here. Play as many good teams as we can. And that's to win the league. Ultimately in the NUMEC, you have to challenge yourself out of conference to get used to the pace and the talent, and not develop the bad habits that you can get away with against teams you're a little better than or more athletic than. So that's the most important thing. We're trying to win the league. We're not trying to get in at large. It would be great if we win so many games that we get one, but I want to win the NUMEC.
Yeah, I think speaking as an alumni, as all of us, we would love that. We just want you to beat MIT, and we want you to beat Wheaton. And though that will set us up. I remember when Jeff first started coaching there, he in his second year played MIT to double OT, and they lost.
Mm-hmm.
And I sent him like the meanest text. He's like, I just got here. And I was like, not good enough. I'm an alumni now. Need to do better. I was just joking, but also like I was refreshing it. That was before they streamed everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm refreshing the score, and it's like 14-13 double OT loss. And I'm like, I was in a car, and I like almost stopped the car. I care a little bit less. One of the
Matt, I blocked Kyle's number. I don't know if you want to get that phone call in a couple months. I think you might want to block his number.
Unblock me. No, I need to know when the alumni game is, because I'm the oldest one that's going to play in it, and I score every year. So you have to put your best guy on me. Honestly, I'm not kidding.
All right.
It's like my badge of honor is like I'm 44, 45, 46, and I'm scoring in the alumni game. Like when Jack was on the podcast, I would be like, hey man, had the alumni game last week. He's like, oh yeah, how'd you do? I'm like, we won 3 goals. He's like, no, you're old. They weren't trying. The roast.
3 goals, 0 passes.
Hey, I'm excited. I'm excited because I think when you bring it, like I love Jeff. Jeff is a friend. He's my mentor in so many ways. Like I'm happy that he went to Johnson Wales, found a great job after Clark. Like that's perfect for him. It's closer to where he lives, all that stuff. But it's something exciting to see new energy there. As again, speaking as the head of the Alumni Association that doesn't exist for lacrosse, I think it's awesome. It's hard for I'm literally wearing a Clark shirt. There's Clark all around me. Like I talk about it all the time, and people are just like, "Why do you love your school so much?" And I was like, "Because if I didn't go to Clark, I wouldn't be a writer, and I wouldn't have this job, and I don't know if I would have kept playing lacrosse." So for me, it's the thing in my life that changed my life, and I want every kid that I talk to, coach, whatever, to have that when they go to college, because that college exists for every kid. It really does. And Clark isn't going to be for everybody. Emerson's not going to be for everybody, Syracuse certainly isn't for everybody. Like there's such a wide spectrum, and living in New England, we have such a wide like spectrum of choices for every kid. So I think it's always great when there's a little more attention on a school like Clark, like UMass Boston, like my hometown, NEC. Like I'm from Henniker. It's crazy there's a college there, and they have a lacrosse team. To me that's nuts. But I think it's just great that they brought you on and bringing new energy to the program. So I'm just pumped that you're there. It's good.
I appreciate it. It's been an awesome start, and the same way that I think it's good for the program to have a new perspective, it's also good for me to have a new challenge and do things differently and have to navigate a different place. And I think ultimately probably be good for Emerson too. Like once that is settled, there's going to be someone with new ideas, and it's finding ways to work around. Every school has challenges, so it's finding your creative ways to work around them to maximize what you have. And I think there's so much potential here. Between the athletic facilities, they just built a new varsity weight room. They're hiring an assistant strength coach. We have a year-round locker room, like things that we're really spoiled in a lot of ways with that stuff here. That between that, the academic opportunity, the free fifth year, which we hammered earlier, like there's no reason we shouldn't be good. We should be able to recruit the best guys and the guys who want to be here. And if we coach them the right way and they buy in and they play really hard, I'm not guaranteeing we're going to win a championship or anything like that, but we should have an opportunity. It's not that long ago that Clark played in the NEWMAC finals. So it can be done. Other teams here are winning conference championships. We just need to get the right group on the right year and put it all together, really.
Yeah. And your biggest supporter is right here. Honestly, use me in your marketing materials. I do not care. Like I will not charge. I will write it up. I will hard sell any kid. Be like, hey, so you're not sure about Clark? Have you heard of this guy in lacrosse? Can you give him a call? I will freely give that service to Clark because I love it and I miss it in a weird way. Mm-hmm. Considering I live in like New Hampshire and I'm back home and like I don't know, I live nowhere near anywhere like Worcester, but I do miss it. And I think it's a great place to have a program, get a great education, and win some games. Yeah, especially in 2026. So yep. Owen, do you have anything else before we close this out?
Just good luck, and I wish you well come the first game. If you lose, getting Kyle's phone calls, I wish you well, and I'm sure if good stuff happens on the other side, Kyle, I'm sure you'll be the biggest supporter of all time. So I'm looking forward to the tweets come spring. I just want to tune in and just refresh. Just Kyle live tweeting the games.
I am excited to not get texts from people be like, here's the Clark schedule, 3 wins. And I'm like, shut up. It's not going to happen anymore. Stop. And that hasn't been true for a very long time.
They won 9 games last year.
9-6. It's a good run.
This is not a rebuild. This is just we're just giving some new energy. That's all. So hopefully this helps. I'm going to definitely hold you to helping us as much as possible, Kyle. And we'll get you back down here soon to see what the current group looks like. And you could share your wisdom with them.
Can't wait for the fall ball. And I'm large in all apparel.
Okay.
So, say maybe 13-inch gloves. I don't know. You got helmet stickers. I wish I could just pull down. I want to like run in the other room and grab all my stuff and just like show how much stuff I have from Clark, because this is the only place where I keep it and no one's ever seen it. Like I have the bag from 2003 down there hold on, I'm doing it.
A large? Are we sure?
No, yes. You want to check my shoulders? Come on.
A large?
That's the bag from 2003.
That's very nice.
That's the jersey and the gloves.
Nice.
So that's a fun one for everyone watching on video. But for everybody else, we're going to close it out. Thanks again for listening to New England Lacrosse Journal's Chasing the Goal podcast. Owen Hart, I'm Kyle Devitte. We'll see you next time.